Hello, and welcome to Gritty Reboot, the show where we make fun of TV's dark side. I'm Kevin James, and sitting at his boudoir in only his bra, getting ready to discuss how to ask out the redhead neighbor across the street is my co-host and dearest bosom friend, Hunter Markham. Hunter, would you like to explain what we've embarked on?
Sure thing. We're here to discuss dark teen drama TV series episode by episode, and this past week we just watched the series premiere of Riverdale.
Yeah, and it seems like it's going to be good. I don't know about you, but this totally met my expectations for what we are in for in this series.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much stuff that happens and fires off all at once in this premiere that we have a ton to discuss. I have no idea where the series is going, but there's a bunch of great stuff here.
Yes, the most important of which to note is that
Archie got hot.
That's our introduction to Archie, is us peering through his bedroom window from another bedroom window as he's shirtless.
as Betty is also shirtless, peering from her window, and they're just across the street, and it's filmed in such a way, it seems like their houses are like 10 feet apart, so I don't know why Archie doesn't see them looking at him.
It's like a Taylor Swift music video over there.
By them, I should add that there is also gay best friend Kevin Keller, because of course there's a Kevin, and of course he's the butt of the joke.
60% of all white males are named Kevin, so they had to have one in the show. It's just to bring out the realism, which we weren't really getting in this opening scene of Archie shirtless, because they're supposed to be 15 years old.
Yes, and he looks like he went through like 2 or 3 years training for MMA fighting.
Yeah, he looks like he's gone through 3 puberties, and he's supposed to be working through his first. So things go from 0 to sexy extremely quickly. If we take a step back, the scene right before we see hot Archie is this weird twin death scene.
Yeah, that was very weird and confusing, because I was definitely getting some twincest vibes off of Cheryl and Jason Blossom are their names. It was very season 1 Game of Thrones feeling.
That was my same exact thought, is this is like, maybe it's us because we've been trained to think that way by Game of Thrones, but also these writers are well aware of Game of Thrones and the tropes that we've been fed.
They're both in like, I don't know, it's like very white clothing, but it's also like a little bit sexy, and they're holding hands and like gazing lingeringly at each other.
And there's a
the
love
read
song.
is not sibling relationship. Yeah, was that a love song?
Yeah, I went back and I rewatched the beginning, and I'm like, this is clearly a love song that's playing. And then later in the show, which was sort of doubling down on the Game of Thrones thing, the Kevin Keller character calls Cheryl the Red Widow. Mm-hmm. Which I was like, okay, so is this a Red Wedding reference?
I don't know. Like we said, there's a lot to unpack.
First scene was these twins that may be into each other, and second scene is, look how hot these teens are.
Yes. Yeah, so Jason Blossom apparently drowns in the river, and some narrator, well, we know who it is because we finished the episode, but if you're just watching it, you have no idea who is narrating. It's just some guy.
I thought it was Archie, and it wasn't until the end that I realized, oh, like this is another character that we have yet to meet that we've been waiting for.
Yes, we were waiting very intently for that character the whole time.
Instead, we got a lot of Archie and Betty and an attempt at sexual tension there.
Yeah, and an attempt. It was very weird. Betty is just sitting at, I call it a boudoir because I'm not sure what the right word for it is. Like a vanity, I guess?
The vanity is where she's sitting with all the lights around it where she does her makeup.
And she's in just her bra. Well, Kevin Keller is like, you gotta ask out Archie. And then 10 seconds later, he goes and is like,
Archie got hot.
so now I'm very confused why he was so gung-ho on Betty. You gotta ask out Archie. Oh my god, now he's also good looking.
Yeah, it's like before he was ugly, but you should still ask him out.
I guess. Maybe Kevin does not have the highest opinion of Betty, which is baffling because I think so far she's the best of the main 4 Riverdale crew.
Definitely. She seems like the most morally upright of anyone that we meet here. She's really into literature. She's into Toni Morrison, Kevin.
Yes, that was so baffling because in the next scene, she and Archie go to Pop's chocolate shop and she's talking about how she worked an internship where she got to interact with literary titan Toni Morrison, and Toni Morrison personally mentored her and gave her advice on how to handle, I guess, her love life?
I'm still trying to figure out what the whole internship thing was, because at no point does Betty show any sort of interest in literature or writing. She's not the character that is set up as the writer in this series.
Right. Because the narrator is explicitly writing a novel about this, as we find out, and Veronica is the one dropping all of the literature references left and right throughout the episode.
But my favorite part of this scene in Pops was Archie can't even pretend to be interested in this girl talking about Toni Morrison.
Yes.
I don't know if it's really bad acting on the actor's part or really good acting, because he just seems so disinterested when she's just pouring her heart out to him.
You're right, because that's a very believable teen boy thing to do. Oh, that's so cool. You did that thing I'm not interested in.
Oh, you met your hero? Cool. I write songs now.
Yes. Well, he introduces his newfound songwriting abilities in the weirdest ways. Like, I was writing poems this summer, and Betty's like, Archie, you don't write poems. Like, they weren't poems, they were songs. Then why did you call them poems?
Yeah, why didn't you just say, hey, I started writing songs over the summer?
And it's worth pointing out that he and Betty have apparently been best friends since they were like 3 or 4 years old. So it's very weird that he would like tell her he did something that Betty would know so well he doesn't do.
Yeah.
Like, was he trying to fake her out?
I don't know, but the whole time she's looking at him like she's about to bust a nut. And the fact that he's that oblivious, it's incredible, but also that it hammers home this point of self-absorbed teenage boy.
Yes, and that's when Veronica arrives.
Oh, which she arrives at least in a cape with a hood. So that's normal.
So there had been like a little introductory scene earlier where she's introduced, and her mom says, let's get burgers from the chocolate shop. And Veronica had the great line of, what's a chocolate shop?
I had the same note. You're from New York City. You're over the age of 4. You know what a chocolate shop is.
I mean, her other question of, why does it sell burgers? I get it. That throws me off about this chocolate shop too, but chocolate and shop should be self-explanatory.
They're both really simple words. Put them together. Oh, a place where you can get chocolate.
And she follows that up by inserting Truman Capote references to explain how she feels about being Riverdale.
Yeah, that's the weird thing. Her entrance is like Little Black Riding Hood with this black cape on, and then she starts dropping Capote references.
She says, I don't know if you're familiar with the works of Truman Capote, which I think we all are, especially sophomores in high school, right?
Archie gives this look like, I'm going to pretend to be really interested in what this new girl is saying.
And she says, I'm breakfast at Tiffany's. This place is strictly in cold blood. And Hunter, I think it's worth pointing out that I think this is a very accurate comparison. And I just want to pull up a side-by-side comparison of the first paragraph of In Cold Blood and some dialogue from Riverdale, so that we can really get a feel for just how similar Riverdale is to In Cold Blood.
Yeah, a direct descendant, if you will.
Would you please, I sent you the first paragraph. Would you read it?
Yes. Let me put on my Truman Capote voice, which is non-existent. No. The village of Holcomb stands on the high wheat plains of western Kansas, a lonesome area that other Kansans call out there. Some 70 miles east of the Colorado border, the countryside, with its hard blue skies and desert-clear air, has an atmosphere that is rather more far west than Middle West. The local accent is barbed with a prairie twang, a ranch hand nasalness, and the men, many of them, wear narrow frontier trousers, Stetsons, and high-heeled boots with pointed toes. The land is flat and the views are awesomely extensive. Horses, herds of cattle, a white cluster of grain elevators rising as gracefully as Greek temples are visible long before a traveler reaches them.
Archie got hot!
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty much in the same literary territory.
Yes, it's the thing that I think is really weird about these literary references is they're both too advanced for this age of high school student, and they're both really shallow. Like, what she's saying is, I feel like I am fancy as Audrey Hepburn, and this place is a place where a murder happened, which
She doesn't even know a murder happened here yet, though. That's the thing.
I know. And it's so funny because, like, the opening of In Cold Blood is pretty famous for, like, just laying out that dry, western, deserty setting. And the vibe Riverdale gives off is very much Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, because I think like most CW shows, this was probably filmed in British Columbia.
It was Vancouver.
All right. I remember that was a thing.
It's supposed to happen. Well, they haven't officially confirmed this, but fans of Riverdale did some sleuthing, and it apparently happens in county of New York that's a couple miles from Manhattan.
All right, so it's in the same state as me.
Yes.
All right, good. But Veronica's references go off the hook from here, where I didn't know her references. In a later scene when Betty's showing her around the school, she talks about Our Town, which I had to look up. It's a play from 1938 I'd never even heard of.
I had to read it in high school and senior year, so I guess it's believable that a high school student would know it, but it's also like, why are you referencing Our Town? And that's another shallow reference. She's saying, like, wow, sure does feel like the 1950s here when I reference this 1938 play.
I just don't know what sort of high schooler would say that to another high schooler, assuming that she's going to get this niche reference.
It's a lot like her Blue Jasmine reference, because I guess Veronica is a fan of early 2000s Woody Allen films.
That was the other thing. They're supposed to be 15 years old, around 15 or 16, because they're sophomores in high school. And that would put them, since this show premiered in 2017, their year of birth would be 2002. Let's just keep that in mind. These kids were born after 9/11 happened.
Yes.
From here on out. And they're making references to films that would have come out when they were in elementary school. Or,
Yes.
so here's my first prediction. This is the subplot. There's a Freaky Friday thing going on where Veronica's mother and her have switched places because Veronica wears pearls like she's 55 and makes references like she's 65.
Yes. It's weird how overwritten it is. It does feel like the writer's room had their they were pushing these references like a little too much. They weren't considering how believable these teen characters had to be.
My only other explanation is maybe her dialogue was taken directly from the very first issue of Archie Comics.
Ooh, the very first issue of Archie Comics. We'll have to dig into that at some point.
I mean, except for the Outlander reference, which at least showed that she watches the same TV as my 62-year-old mom.
Yes, Teen Outlander. Oh, we will get to the many ridiculous nicknames for Archie, but now, so after Betty and Veronica and Archie all meet and they have some tension, they also find out that they will be showing her around at school tomorrow, and so they meet again at school tomorrow, where the guys on the football team start complimenting how ripped Archie got in one of the most bizarre moments of the episode, I think.
See, the theme is that
Archie got hot.
Yes. I want to stress how deep and thematically rich this arc is of Archie having gotten hot.
like 3 months ago, he was unrecognizable. I want a before picture in here. I want them to Photoshop something of the actor where he just looks like garbage.
Yes.
Where he's just got like taped together glasses and a sweater vest and he's like pencil neck geek.
And his friend Reggie comes up to him and says, "You taking some tea, bro?" And at first I thought he must be talking about testosterone.
That was my thought too. I was like, oh, this is sort of like performance enhancing drug sort of deal here.
But Reggie goes on to start listing flavors of like tea.
Yeah.
What you would drink in a cup.
I thought he was going to be like, oh, are you taking tea? Some growth hormone?
Ginseng and maca root.
I was totally thrown off by that. I don't know if they had to change the script because you couldn't talk about performance enhancing drugs on a show with shirtless teens.
Well, actually, I looked it up, and there were some behind the scenes confusion about how this was supposed to go too.
Oh, really?
Yes. Apparently, the actor just had some improv ideas, and we should actually just go to the recording we have of this mistake as it happened.
So you're a Hollywood insider here. You've got some access to recordings from the set?
It's not me. It's the Riverdale fan community. They're very zealous. They will unearth any piece of media about Riverdale that's available. So I just want to thank them for unearthing this for us.
Oh yeah, big shout out to the fans out there. Okay, let's roll tape.
All right.
Archie, bro, you want to score some tea? I have chamomile, lemon ginger, turmeric. It's great on the digestion, bro. I got some lavender honey, green maca, jasmine.
Cut. Ugh. Ross, what are you doing?
You told me I was supposed to ask Archie about tea, bro. So I decided to improvise a little bit. I thought maybe my character could be kind of like a tea pusher.
Ross, you understand that the T we're talking about is testosterone, right? Steroids? Performance enhancers?
Yeah, I totally get it now, man. All right, let me try it again.
All right, Cloudy got the start out, and scene 5, take 2, action.
Hey, Archie, I got all the tea you could ever need right here. This stuff will totally get you jacked. I mean, like shredded, like prison ripped. I got teas with omega-3s, teas with fish oil, teas with vitamin C, and don't forget the turmeric, bro.
No, cut.
Hey, what's the matter? I thought that was, like, totally chill.
When I said performance enhancers, did you confuse those with herbal supplements?
Oh, man, my bad, man. I'm just having some trouble focusing, brah. I had a sleepy time tea on break when I really should have had a lion's mane mushroom blend.
Well, this time, just say the lines exactly as written so we can all move on. Oh, and Ross? Turmeric?
Life-changing. I highly recommend it. A revelation in a mug. Really helps with the IBS, too.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, the only thing better is maca root. Look, I just really feel that my character should be weirdly into specific teas, you know? I just don't know if I'll be able to act in this scene as well without that motivation. Can you find, like, some way to work with me here, man?
All right, well, I suppose I can work with that. Just give me some time to rewrite the script. Everybody take 5.
Thank God. I thought he'd never leave. This gives me all the time I need to work on my audition for 13 Reasons Why. I'm totally gonna land the role of Zach Dempsey now.
So yeah, just a little peek behind the curtain, and that actor, Ross Butler, did go on to land the role of Zach Dempsey, so his ploy was successful.
Wow, I had no idea. I didn't know that Riverdale was such a jumping off point for so many of the young stars of today.
It really is just a tableau of some of the most talented young actors of our day.
Yeah, I mean, all these people that I've never seen before or even heard of, except for, I guess, Luke Perry.
But after that, we learn more and more about Archie's singer-songwriter career. He wants to talk to the music teacher, Miss Grundy, in order to get mentored in singing and songwriting, I guess.
And they had that scene where he's just playing his songs on a MacBook and he's kind of doing like a singer-songwriter deal.
Yes. And so I had this question for you, Hunter. Obviously, this Archie can't write the sugary bubblegum 50s pop that the original Archies did. So what kind of music will this Archie write in the future?
I'm thinking like trap music. I'm hoping for some like Young Dolph-inspired raps where he references like his wristwatch and some things like that. That's what I'm hoping for, but he's kind of doing like a Josh Groban, Ed Sheeran, like he just only has listened to Christian rock and he's going for whatever he can here.
That's a good guess. My prediction is gonna be he's gonna write those moody, down-tempo, minor key covers of pop songs that appear in vaguely unsettling movie trailers. I can't wait to see his minor key version of Sugar Sugar that will play over the Candyman reboot trailer.
Oh my gosh, actually I could kind of see that happening. That's the bad part about this. But okay, before we get to the whole teacher scene, I know this is the elephant in the room, but I wanted to jump over and talk about how he's going to other people for advice on songwriting, and we meet Josie and the Pussycats.
Oh yes, I was so surprised because when I was watching it, I saw them with their pussycat ears, and I was totally about to text you, oh, look at Josie and the Pussycats over here. And then Archie says, Josie, can we talk? I'm like, wait, that's actually Josie and the Pussycats? They're in Archie Comics?
Yeah, they came out of Archie Comics. Like, they're another property coming out of the same company. So that's why they're pulling them into this series. My favorite thing was he walks into the room with them. They're in an auditorium in a public high school that any student or teacher or faculty member can enter, and the first words out of their mouths are, "This is a closed rehearsal."
Yes. It was very interesting. Like, the vibe Josie gives off is a little bit prima donna, but it's also interesting because she's very well acted, but it's the wrong kind of acting for this kind of soapy teen drama. Like, this character is just like a little too real for this world. Like, she's like, we are here, we are making artistic statements, we want to make music that matters. Like, did you wander out of like a behind the music from VH1 recording?
I don't know, but he comes in, he's like, "Hey, I'd like some advice on songwriting." And she's like, "We have a brand."
Yes, the brand management speech.
In the middle of the scene, there's one shot where they cut to another one of the Pussycats, and she gives Archie this look like she just undid her own bra and pulled it at the bottom of her shirt. Like, there is no character in this entire episode that doesn't look at Archie like,
Archie got hot.
Yeah.
I don't know what this serves besides Archie's hot now, but it just seems like they're just adding in these shots of people being extremely attracted to him.
We just need to understand that Archie just is hot now. And if we do not accept that now, Hunter, we are in for a rough ride.
Yeah, it's something for us to keep in mind. I'm glad that they're kind of subtly making every single person comment on his looks.
Yes, and I think we would be remiss if we didn't point out that when he finally does meet with Miss Grundy, the school
man.
teacher, we find out she also thinks Archie is hot in a very disturbing scene. She seduces him, and they have a weird sex montage that is kind of filmed in like a way too sexy way, with lots of visual references to the sex scene from Titanic, which I think we can both agree one of the sexiest scenes ever filmed.
But that movie was also like at least PG-13, and this is just like network television.
But it's just like bizarre. Like, I can't believe in 2017 we're like, he got with his teacher. That's pretty hot.
Okay, this is one of the things that was hardest for me coming from a background where I knew the comics, because comics Miss Grundy looks like if you cut a sliver off a kitchen sponge, left it in the sun for a week, bleached it, and that was a woman. And the writers came in like, we really need to sex this up, so let's make the 70-plus-year-old teacher like super hot, and also she and Archie fuck.
Oh my gosh, she's over 70?
In the comics, she is. She's like full white hair.
This explains a little bit, because I did think like the name Grundy was like an odd name for a character they were obviously trying to make so sexy. But I didn't think much past of it, because there are also a lot of other weird choices. But that explains it if she was originally like an octogenarian, that they're just like, now she's hot and 20.
I was so blown away by that it made me step back. And here's the other thing. I started working construction with my dad when I was like 14, 15 years old. I did not get hot all of a sudden.
Well, I think your problem there is that you are not a redhead neighbor boy, Hunter.
Yeah, no. I have dark hair, so clearly I'm not hot. I'm not a teen Outlander.
Oh, that I forgot to mention, Josie calls Archie Justin Gingerlake, which, okay, so none of the names Archie gets called in this show are great, but of them I thought that was the best one, because first off, solid wordplay, but more importantly, Justin Timberlake is a believable person that teens would know and care about.
Yeah, like that one, it was bad when she preceded that with "read my glossed lips" was the line. And that one kind of like made my balls shrivel up a little bit, but Justin Gingerlake was not as bad as some of the other nicknames he gets.
It was a lot better than Hipster Prince Harry.
Yeah, that one made the tip of my penis hurt.
But yeah, so he meets Miss Grundy, and she's like, it was a mistake for us to have gotten together. I can't tutor you in music.
I can't be alone with you. I remember that, because like she says that with like the hungriest eyes. They just coached her like, look at him, like if you're in the room with him one more second, all your clothes are coming off.
Well, lest we forget, the theme is
Archie got hot.
Yeah, she was the first one to notice, so she really jumped on board the train early.
Trendsetter.
Then we get this bit of information that they were at the river on the day of the Blossom Twin event where Jason Blossom supposedly drowned.
Yes.
And my thing was, they're at the river at 6 a.m. on 4th of July. At 6 a.m. to bang?
In New York.
Yeah, and usually when people say kids these days are having sex too early, they don't mean 6 a.m. early. They're talking about something else. But I was like, Archie could not wait. They set up a whole picnic. We get a shot of the scene. There's a picnic, there's firewood, there's everything. It's 6 a.m.
Look, you haven't heard of the famous 6 a.m. New York sex picnics? That is a state pastime, Hunter. You really got to get on board with this now that you're a resident.
I wanted the preceding scene where it's 4:30 in the morning and he's waking up and actually planning out this entire picnic.
Yeah, what's really unbelievable about that whole scene is most grocery stores don't open until at least 6. If he did not plan in advance, that picnic is ruined. And when I plan picnics, I frequently forget something like mustard or bread or a carving knife.
He just had a basket full to the brim with condoms. That was it.
Yes, and what we learn is that the day that Jason died, he and Miss Grundy heard a gunshot, which is our first tip-off that maybe Jason didn't drown.
Because his sister's whole story was, oh, Jason reached out of the boat for something, he fell in the water, and he drowned. That's the last she ever saw of him. And now we're getting this whole other side of the story. So this is where they're building in that intrigue.
And then after that, we cut to Veronica and Betty, who are starting to become friends, and they decide to try out for cheer together.
This is a fantastic scene. Because nothing in it really made sense. And everything went from Veronica steps into town to she and Betty are best friends to she and Betty are making out right in the middle of a cheerleading audition.
There's a lot to say about that. They try out, and Cheryl Blossom, who we kind of learn is the reigning queen bitch of the school, she is a very vintage old school mean girl that I didn't think still existed in teen media.
They kind of call that out in a later scene, which is something I actually appreciated, where I think it's the Kevin Keller character says, is being the mean girl in high school still a thing? And she has the response of, is being the gay best friend still a thing?
Yeah, this writing is very self-aware in a way that I sometimes appreciate, but more times annoys and irritates me because they're using that self-awareness to excuse mediocre writing rather than to be more original and more clever.
Yeah, they're saying, we're aware of these tropes, we know the audience loves them, but hey, don't call us out for it because we know what we're doing and we're making fun of ourselves a little. I'm not sure it always works, but
yeah, it works, I guess, best with the Cheryl character.
I agree.
So she insults Betty and Veronica and says there was no sizzle, I think. And so Veronica's like, oh, I know what will cause sizzle. And then she and Betty just make out. And the strings swell. And it's like, oh my god, Betty and Veronica be a thing. Nope. Immediately gets shut down with that usual self-aware writing of, check your sell-by date, ladies. Foul lesbian kissing hasn't been taboo since 1994.
Yeah, that was... Watching that scene, Betty and Veronica have known each other for less than 24 hours.
Yes.
This is something to keep in mind. And there's been no hint of sexual tension between them. It's just Veronica's like,
We have to kiss. This is the only way to make the cheerleading squad. I, a Generation Z person, born after the 2000s, will totally do this act that apparently hasn't been taboo in my lifetime.
I don't know if it was just put in there to tantalize audiences in a trailer or if they're trying to set up maybe a love triangle where is it Betty Archie or Betty Veronica and something else going on.
I hope it's that latter one, but I really do think it's probably the first one. I think they were just setting up the trailer, but oh my god, I lost my mind trying to figure out what are they talking about hasn't been taboo since 1994? What event is being referred to here? And so I did a lot of sleuthing, and basically what I think I found out is they just picked a date at random. My other guess is that they got confused about when the famous VMA kiss between Madonna and Britney happened, it happened in 2003. Maybe they mistook that for 2004 and somehow wrote it down as 94. But when I was looking, there were famous lesbian kisses in media, but the first ones all happened before 94 in America, and the most culturally important one I could find that did happen in 94 was on a British-only TV show called Eastsiders.
You're obviously forgetting about the time Hillary Clinton and Bob Dole's wife made out during the 1994 midterm elections.
Yes, of course.
I think we can chalk it up to Cheryl just trying to put Veronica and Betty down, and maybe that was all the writers were trying to accomplish.
Yes. And Cheryl tries to put her down some more, put Betty down some more, and we see that Betty is very passive even after Cheryl taunts her and mocks her sister, who we are told had something with Cheryl's brother Jason. So Cheryl's brother Jason,
The dead guy.
yes, and Betty's sister Polly used to date, and it ended really badly, and now Polly is in a mental institution.
They really threw that out there of, oh yeah, my sister got sent away. And this is another thing where they're stacking up all these different plot elements, which we'll have to diagram at some point.
Yes. But we see Betty cannot stick up for herself. But needless to say, Veronica is able to outbid Cheryl and get them both on the cheerleading team. And they immediately celebrate by asking Archie out to the semi-formal dance together.
I loved Archie's response, which was an eloquent, huh?
Yes. Archie, the most believably written teen character so far.
He just either seems bushwhacked or he literally zones out whenever Betty's talking. The sound literally faded away in the previous scene when Veronica walks in the door.
Yeah.
He literally doesn't care to even formulate words in response to her, and yet she's still mooning over him.
And don't forget, they are allegedly best friends.
Yeah, they're allegedly best friends. I don't know how Archie talked himself from catching a ride from his teacher into banging her. I feel like at a certain point she would have just been like, he can't even speak a sentence.
Yeah, it's believable, but man, there does not seem to be any appeal to Archie outside of the fact that he has abs.
Yeah, Archie got hot. All I can think of is in Dazed and Confused when Matthew McConaughey's character is just like,
I love those redheads, man.
every single character on Riverdale has been infected with Matthew McConaughey disease.
Matthew McConaugheytis.
Yes. Every last one of them could be played by Matthew McConaughey from Dazed and Confused, and we'd have the same character interactions.
And I think it's fair to say, really should all be played by Matthew McConaughey. What a trip that would be. So after Archie gets asked out, he goes home, and we learn that he's been bumped up to varsity because of Jason's death.
Yeah, we're down one redhead on varsity, and we've got to have another one on that spot. Here's the same exact number.
Yes, the exact same jersey. But he doesn't seem to want to play varsity, and he also doesn't want to work his dad's construction job that he offered him, which I think it's important to remind everyone the construction job is how Archie got hot.
Yeah, he's not going to want to throw that away. He needs to maintain his physique at this point, because little does he know that's the only thing that's getting him as far as he's got.
Yeah, so he plays them against each other. He tells his dad, oh, I can't work construction, I'm going to be varsity. And he tells the varsity coach, oh, I can't be varsity, I'm going to be working construction. And his dad calls him out on that.
Oh, that's another part where Archie is really eloquent and great under pressure, because when his dad asks, who are you lying to? He says, neither of you. There's no way that's even possible.
Yes. Neither of you. Both of you. Like, yeah, those were the two options.
Those are the two options there.
The reason I brought this all up is Hunter. Archie is a varsity sports star who really wants to actually pursue his passion, which is music. And he has a love interest who is an attractive brunette who just moved to town. Hunter. We're watching High School Musical.
Oh, well, that's why I've been so excited this whole time.
The showrunners must know this because one of the many, many weird Archie lines is that Cheryl says, are we talking about Archie's Efron-esque emergence from the chrysalis of puberty Zac Efron, very famously the star of High School Musical.
I remember when I used the term chrysalis of puberty as a 15-year-old.
That's what they teach us in health class. You little troglodyte caterpillars enter your chrysalis of puberty.
And then you get hot.
I'm still waiting for that. I've been trapped in my chrysalis of puberty for quite a few years now, going on a decade or more.
I worked construction for my dad for 40 years in high school, and I did not emerge hot. One of my other favorite things is Archie's dad is the character they're setting up as the most squeaky clean person they can. He's sort of the paradigm of, oh, like, this is the good person. Because everyone else, like Betty's mom, is shown as being consistently evil.
She really does seem psychotic. I think it was her in the very first scene where you learn about Jason's death. She says something like, "I hope he suffered in his last moments. May Jason Blossom burn in hell." It's like, whoa, this is a little too intense.
He's supposed to be like a 17-year-old kid, and you're like, hope it was slow and painful.
Yeah, I get that something went wrong between him and your favorite daughter, the not Betty one, but oh man, like this is a bit much. Because she says it like within earshot of the police and the grieving parents.
She like looks directly at the grieving parents like, I'm really glad he died. He was also kind of ugly.
Yeah. He had not yet emerged from the chrysalis of puberty.
He was still in chrysalis.
And so Archie, he goes to think over what he's going to do, varsity, construction music. He goes to the dance with Veronica and Betty. And Veronica says, as Betty and Archie try to discuss, like, oh, what are you going to do? I know this weighs pretty heavily on your mind. Veronica says, guys, can't we liberate ourselves from this tired jock-artist dichotomy? Can't we, in this post-James Franco world, be all things at once?
I wish I was living in a post-James Franco world. Jesus, then I wouldn't have to read any more of his terrible short stories.
Oh, you weren't a fan of Palo Alto?
I wasn't a fan of that, or that one short story James Franco wrote where it's just like, this is all about the time I totally didn't fuck Lindsay Lohan.
It's Hunter, I think I have to say, we have found the right outlet for, we both have English graduate degrees, and they have been put to work deciphering Veronica's many shallow references.
God. I think James Franco's writing is the perfect depth for this show.
Yes.
I'm quoting from memory here, but in the aforementioned Lindsay Lohan story, he has a line where he's talking about looking out the window at his own Oscar billboard, and he says, about himself, this is James Franco talking about his own picture, it was eternally young, eternally sex.
Can't James Franco, in this post-James Franco world, be all billboards at once?
Yes. Oh my God.
But man, what a line, like, just...
The tired dichotomy. She speaks like she's reading from her essay.
Right, this is all in my thesis. The post-James Franco world and its effect on the tired jock-artist dichotomy.
Which is, a great read. At the dance, Archie's with Betty because Veronica's trying to push her towards, hey, ask him out.
Yeah, she does a good job being like the supportive friend here. Does a good like, oh, I'm gonna get punched. Go for it, girl moment. I appreciated that.
Yeah, and then Archie immediately abandons Betty to go talk to Miss Grundy, and he opens, as soon as he locks eyes with her, with the line, don't panic, I'm not stalking you. Which is a thing only stalkers say.
Yes. Well, Hunter, he couldn't just talk to Betty, his best friend. He had to get to those Grundy undies.
Exactly. In addition to the Matthew McConaughey disease, everyone in Riverdale is catching this disease from Veronica, where they make weird references, and he references the film Indecent Proposal, which I didn't get. I had to Google it just to make sure that it was indeed a film.
Oh, it was a film. A film from 1993. What is with this generation and just knowing things from like the early 90s?
I have no idea. That was so bizarre. And then my favorite part of the scene was actually when she says, I will tutor you in music. It's going to be an independent study that starts at 7:30 a.m. I just imagine Archie being like, that's a little bit late for me. I'm more of a 6 a.m. type of guy.
Yes. Yeah, and then he goes straight back in that conversation to shoot Betty down when she asks him out.
He's like, yeah, I gotta keep something in the tank for 7:30 on Monday, so we're gonna part ways after this dance, Betty.
Yeah, and during this whole scene, Josie and the Pussycats are playing. They actually sound really good. They got, I guess, real singers and performers to fill those roles. They sound good doing their cover of the song I forgot to take a note of.
I have no idea what it was. But my thing, when he's talking to Grundy about the music tutoring, I went back to a scene in the hall where Archie's looking over his lyrics. And I transcribed his lyrics because I was like, what is he writing these songs about? I just imagined they were all pretty much like a singer-songwriter version of Van Halen's Hot for Teacher. Or they're just songs where he's just proving he's had sex. Like, I know what it feels like to have someone touch my penis. And this is verbatim Archie's actual lyrics that appear on screen. And it made me understand why Grundy doesn't want to tutor him. Because, quote, she came right to me. She was beckoning, took me by surprise. That's the first part of the verse. Second part is, summer day when I was hot and tired, finished my work day. And it kind of cuts off there, but he's clearly literally telling the story of when Miss Grundy picked him up on his way back from work.
Yes.
I just assume it goes on to say, like, she gave me a ride in her car. This was the license plate number. And then we had sex in the back of it. Also, she's my teacher.
Her name is Miss Grundy. This song is not a metaphor. She lives at this address. I don't plan on informing the police. I'm going to see if we can keep going with this.
If I was Miss Grundy, I'd just be like, hey, never show your songs to anyone, please.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll meet at 7:30. I've got the paper shredder plugged in, so if you could just lend me your notes real quick.
Yeah, but it does resolve the tired jock artist dichotomy. He can now do music in the mornings, he can do varsity in the evenings, and I don't know, construction on weekends. He's a Renaissance man, our Archie.
So he can be all things, like James Franco.
Yes, he can have it all.
He doesn't really give Betty an answer on the dating thing. He just looks at her.
Well, there's a great moment where Cheryl catches that there is drama afoot because I assume as evil queen bitch, she has a sixth sense for it. And she plots in what I think may have been my favorite moment of the episode to invite Archie, Veronica, and Betty all to her after dance party so that she can stir up more chaos. And it was a very believable, petty level of high school drama that felt very real. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah, the Cheryl character is really fun, and I think she, as of right now, is my favorite character.
I think she's mine too. She also had another good moment we forgot to go over where she looks at what Betty is eating and she says, oh, I see you have a little too much on your plate right now. Another, like, very subtle, like, petty dig. We know she'd already made fun of Betty's weight before, so it's well done how believably evil she is.
Yeah, she's one of the most interesting characters because A, we don't know if she was banging her twin, and B, we don't know why. She's just
Yeah.
a fucking devil. But I'm just curious to see what layers they can take this character to. I have nothing but faith in the great writers over at the CW.
Yes. And that brings us to the after party where they literally play Spin the Bottle.
All right. Has anyone in real life actually played Spin the Bottle? I've only ever seen it in a movie or a TV show.
I was briefly involved in a Spin the Bottle game once when I was 14, but it got broken up immediately by the parents who were chaperoning because parents were chaperoning.
Yeah, that seems like a bad place to start it.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing. This is more fuel to the fire that literally everyone is horny for Archie because when they go to play Spin the Bottle and Cheryl says, oh, it's Veronica and Archie. When Veronica tries to turn down her 7 minutes in heaven with Archie, Cheryl's like, I can just take your turn.
Yeah, she wants to, in her words, ride the ginger stallion.
That,
oh, God.
you got to my number one line right there of this one physically pained me. That was dynamite, but I'm trying to keep track, and there will be a quiz.
Oh, no.
The quiz at the end of this episode is going to be, who's horny for Archie?
And I can't just answer everyone. That's not an acceptable answer.
I need names.
Oh, no.
Very least a description that makes me aware of who this character is.
That's good, because I can't name the Pussycat Doll member. Pussycat Doll. I can't name the pussycat who stared longingly at Archie. She is pussycat number 1 or number 2 to me.
It's the one that's wearing cat ears.
Oh, yes. Oh, thank you.
I know you have a lot to say about the spin the bottle game and when Veronica and Archie go into the closet, because I think this is the scene when you were watching it that you blew up my phone the most.
It's so weirdly shot. So they're in a closet and they decide to film it with like really tight, close angles as if like the camera guy is stuck in a closet with them. And tight, close angles can be sexy, but not from the angle they're filming it from. Like, to the side and slightly under, Veronica tries to give Archie like sexy looks as they ask deep probing questions of each other. And because of the angle they're filming from, she looks cross-eyed. Like, it doesn't look sexy. Maybe if it was like a dead-on shot, that could have been pulled off. But from the side, it just looks a bit ridiculous.
It might have been editing there. I think there might have been one of the deep questions where Archie asks her, like, hey, can you just stare at the tip of your nose for me?
Yes.
And that's right before he goes in to kiss her.
Yes, like, they eventually, like, the deep probing questions of, what'd you do this summer? And, so you moved here, huh? Eventually lead to them getting hot and heavy. And...
yeah, that didn't take long. Like, Veronica's been in town for, let's say now it's been a solid 24 hours. She's already making the rounds.
Well, Hunter, I do want to point out, she did say earlier in the episode that she was interested in Archie because she has tried, quote, every flavor of boy but orange.
Oh, I forgot about that line.
And I just have to ask, how many flavors of boy are there?
I don't know.
Like
I didn't
3?
know orange was a flavor, so...
Yeah. Orange just refers to hair colors. Like, how many hair colors are there really? Like, brown, black, blonde, red, and gray?
In this post-James Franco world, can we be more than just a flavor of boy? Is it really just hair color? Is that all that she cares about here?
But now she has tried every flavor, so...
Naturally, they come out of the closet where Veronica and Archie were making out, and Betty has run off because she just assumes that something's going to go down. No one in a closed environment with Archie could resist.
Yes.
At this point, it's not even Veronica's fault. She's not being a bad friend. Archie has been set up as the most fuckable kid in school, which I believe was the original title for Riverdale. I did some digging on the fan boards as well. It seems like when they proposed reviving this property to the CW, they wanted to sex it up, so they came to the table with the title, Archie, the most fuckable kid in school. Archie, the most fuckable kid in school. And the CW said, maybe let's dial it back.
Yes.
Let's leave that as subtext.
Oh my god, yeah, and so Archie goes to comfort her, and they have an emotional confrontation.
Whoa, but we have a very important scene before he gets to Betty, where the character that we'd been going back and forth, like, when is Jughead gonna show up?
Oh, yes.
He finally shows up, and he's in the diner. Seems like he's been there the whole time writing.
He is that guy in your MFA, complete with beanie and writing in a public space.
It looks like he calls people sheeple a lot.
Yes.
He looks like he thinks he's cool because he started drinking black coffee in 9th grade. He looks like he doesn't know how to roll a joint, so he just says, weed is for losers.
Hunter, do you have a whole page of jokes like this?
I pretty much do. He looks like he's the only guy keeping the local thrift store in business.
But yes, so they meet, and we learn that they haven't seen each other since the summer. They're no longer friends. And Jughead even gives Archie the advice of, you need to talk to Betty. It would have helped if we'd talk. So my question here, Hunter, is Jughead in love with Archie?
Well, here's the thing. Since they haven't seen each other since summer, is this the first time that Jughead's seen hot Archie?
Probably. It's amazing he can even recognize Archie.
I mean, is his boner just tapping on the underside of the diner table?
It's the thing doing the typing right now.
Okay. I don't know. I have some other theories on Jughead for a wrap-up that I'd love to share.
Ooh, I can't wait to get to that. But first, I would like to share 2 quick things. The first is I freeze-framed Jughead's laptop setup because I was curious. I know a lot of shows will often hide Easter eggs on those. But what I found on Jughead's laptop was the most confusingly organized writing setup I'd ever seen.
Hey, he's very careful to not shower, but organize his folders.
Yeah, I don't know. So his folders go new pictures, old pictures, summer pictures, photos, draft 0001, draft 0002, draft 0003, old draft 0001, old draft 0002, new draft 0001.
Why does he need so many leading zeros? At a certain point, like, are you going to have 9,999 drafts?
Yes, he is. Hunter, he is an artist. He is making a statement. Did you not notice he is also wearing cat ears?
He is prepared for all eventualities and any number of rewrites.
But what I most want to share with you is Hunter, Jughead Jones, is played by actor Cole Sprouse, a former Disney Channel star. And since I know you're one of the biggest Disney Channel fans I know, I thought I should ask you some trivia about Dylan to see how you do.
Wait, you said Dylan.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. About Cole.
Yeah, see, I know where you're going. I'm pretty sproused up, so
Yes.
hit me with any one of these questions. I feel like I'm gonna knock it out of the park.
All right, so 1, what hit mid-2000s Disney Channel show did Cole Sprouse appear in? A, That's So Raven, a coming-of-age show about a teenage psychic who wants to become a fashion major. B, The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, a show about two brothers living in an upscale hotel together. C, Wizards of Waverly Place, about magical siblings competing to see who gets to be the family wizard. D, Hannah Montana, a show about an ordinary teenage girl who lives a double life as a world-famous pop star. Or E, the That's So Sweet Wizards deck Hannah Montana, an epic 6-part crossover between all of the previously mentioned shows.
I'm going with B, Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, which led into the Sweet Life on Deck. That's my bonus. I don't know about the full crossover, though.
Correct. This was an easy one. He has technically appeared in all of them. I did embellish a little bit with the crossover. There were actually 2 separate crossovers. The That's So Sweet Life of Hannah Montana and Wizards on Deck with Hannah Montana, which I have to say, biggest event of our lifetimes. It really is what paved the way for Marvel to do their Avengers crossover.
Wow. I mean, considering I'd never seen those, I think I have some real catching up to do.
All right, so my second question is, Cole starred in The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, which you got. Which character did he play? A, Cody Martin. B, Marion Mosby. C, Zach Martin. Or D, London Tipton.
I'm going with A, Cody Martin.
Correct. That was a little easy because it alliterates. Marion Mosby was played by Phil Lewis, who you, Hunter, would know as Crazy Hooch from Scrubs. Zach Martin is played by Cole's twin, Dylan, who I earlier screwed up on and mentioned. And London Tipton, a Paris Hilton parody, is played by Brenda Song, perhaps best known for the role of Wendy Wu, Homecoming Warrior, in the hit Disney Channel film Wendy Wu, Homecoming Warrior.
Wasn't she in The Social Network?
Yeah, but I mean, that's just such a small scale thing people don't really know about. I really want to stick with what people know her best for.
I mean, yeah, it'd be whatever you said that I'd never heard of.
So you're doing great so far. You've got 2 out of 3. But my final question may trip you up. The Sprouse brothers have achieved some impressive things. My question is, which of the following is something Cole Sprouse achieved? Did he A, come out as a heathen to champion tolerance for pagan religious views? B, found a New York-based meadery named All Wise Meadery, of which he is the brewmaster? C, unearth a mask of Dionysus while on an archaeological dig in Bulgaria? Or D, was he a 3 consecutive Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Award winner for the category of Favorite TV Actor, handily beating out his own brother each time?
I'm going to go with option B because I think the D wouldn't make sense. They'd get an award together.
No, I'm sorry. Cole unearthed the mask of Dionysus while on an archaeological dig in Bulgaria. A, B, and D were all done by Dylan.
Wait, you're serious about he unearthed an ancient treasure?
Yes.
Okay.
That was your takeaway, not that Dylan is amazing.
No,
He's a heathen championing tolerance He's a New York-based brewmaster, and he beat his own brother for the award of favorite TV actor every time.
Well, it makes me feel better because I was sitting here and okay, they're identical twins, right?
Yes.
I'm just imagining the audition process where, let's say, like they're both going in for the job, and they have all the same things on their resume. They look exactly the same, and yet Cole gets the job, and Dylan's just like, "Oh yeah, that makes a whole bunch of sense. You just picked him."
So I found out the thing first about the 3 consecutive Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards for Dylan, and I thought the same, like, they're identical twins. How is he the favorite over his brother? That doesn't make sense. But as I unearthed more and more interesting trivia, I'm like, oh, actually, Dylan does seem like the better one. Like, I'm sorry to the Cole Train, as I believe his fans call themselves, but I think I'm with Dylan on this one. He is the hot brother.
All right, I haven't seen much of the kid since Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, but it seems like he's doing big things out there.
I look forward to seeing more of what he does. I think he might be transitioning out of acting with all the other things he's doing.
Got it. Now we get to the scene where Archie goes to Betty based off Jughead's advice.
And it is miserable. He shuts her down so hard, she runs away in tears.
He does this thing where he acts like it's him that's the reason that they can't be together, but throws it back on her in like a really douchey way of like, oh, you're too perfect for me. I'll never be good enough for you.
Yeah, it's one of the douchier lines I think I've ever heard in any teen medium. Like, well, you're just too perfect for me. That's why I can't date you.
Yeah, I'll never be good enough for you. Like, he seems like he's doing it to absolve himself of guilt, but also make her feel bad. Like, oh, I made him feel like he wasn't good enough for me.
Yeah, he is really bad at, like, the letting her down gently thing, because he also says, I love you, but not like that.
Of course I love you, but I don't really want to see your face. I don't listen when you talk.
I mean, just the other day, you were staring at me in your bra from across the way. You notice how I didn't even look up? That's because you physically repulse me.
Yeah, you literally leave your blinds open all the time when you're changing, and honestly,
Please don't.
I just don't like what I've been seeing over there.
Which is crazy, because I think we both agreed that of the 3 main female actors so far, Betty is the cutest.
Yeah, she's a very attractive young lady, but Archie has unlimited options at this point.
There are so many teachers at the school who have had their cougar asses untapped.
Oh my god, you just reminded me of that terrible line. We're getting to that later. But I think the issue wasn't that Betty's into Archie. I think it's that at the dance she said that she had this vision of them being a couple. At this point in Archie's hotness development, I don't think he's ready to be tied down. I think he's playing the field.
Yeah, it's very true. As we all know, like, after one has emerged from the chrysalis of puberty, you don't encase yourself in the web of a relationship until after you have fed on the larva of many relationships. That metaphor got away from me.
It's a metaphor that I think would fit perfectly into one of Archie's songs.
Yes. So, oh, and that brings us to the final thing, Kevin and Moose. Moose had earlier propositioned Kevin by just showing him his penis. And Kevin's like, oh, that's horse-like. Gotta get that.
Something we need to keep in mind for the rest of the series is that Moose has a huge penis.
Yes.
Anytime you see him on screen, just remember, the first time he's ever talked about, guy's got a massive wang.
So they go to Skinny Dip in the river, and they find Jason's body, which has a bullet hole in the head.
Which means that he wasn't killed by drowning, like Cheryl said, but he was probably shot, and a couple of early lovebirds heard a gunshot on the 4th of July.
Yeah, actually, it's funny. Like, all of the main cast makes it out to the river the next morning when the police are investigating the crime scene. Like, everyone's like, something to do before school, I guess.
That made no sense to me. I can understand Cheryl's family being there because it's their son that's getting pulled out of the river. But Veronica and her mom are there. They just moved into town the day before. They don't know these people. Archie and his dad are there. Archie's dad's supposed to be a nice guy. I don't see why he'd just be like, get in the truck. We're going to go down the river. We're going to see a decomposing corpse.
It's interesting. But we do learn in the cliffhanger where Jughead sums up, because he is the narrator, as he is writing on a novel on all this murder. He's really the Sarah Koenig of this show. He's He's doing his serial stuff. He says that the first arrest for the death of Jason Blossom will be made next Tuesday. So I'm guessing that's the next episode.
I'm guessing that's the next episode. So they said first arrest, which means multiple arrests, which means they're setting us up for a lot more intrigue, and they've thrown a lot of fuel on the fire.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a whodunit, and I feel like right now they're really like laying it on thick that Cheryl is sketchy. It's both so obvious that the show's like, it could have been her, and it's so obvious that she is a red herring too.
So she's literally a red herring and a red widow.
Yes.
I think that's what they're doing. They're throwing this out there, but they're also making it clear that a lot of people have reasons to despise Jason.
Yeah.
Betty's mom is just like, sure hope he suffered.
That was the first episode of Riverdale.
And I think that we still need to do a little bit of recap to really wrap this up before we can go. We have a few departments. The first department would be the lines that made you cringe the most, the ones that made you really uncomfortable.
Oh, we have so many good candidates. I actually found, as I was researching for the episode, a great article from Vulture called 11 Lines from the Riverdale Pilot I Refuse to Believe Teens Would Say. And I think you and I noted most of them, but it was really helpful to remember just how weird these lines were and how many of them there were.
I know I've got a few that we haven't talked about yet and weren't on that list. There's still more. It felt like a bottomless well of no human being would ever say that.
Here are just some of the ones I plucked out for our list. Archie got hot. You taking some tea, bro? Did you tap some cougar ass this summer? That was obvious said to Archie.
That one is a double whammy because right after Reggie says, did you tap some cougar ass this summer? Archie responds with, I think that's a fantasy from your wank bank. A couple more for your list of cringe lines.
Yeah, all of Veronica's literary references.
Just each of them. The fact that they reference Blue Jasmine twice.
Yeah, every weird nickname people use for Archie, hipster Prince Harry, red-haired Ansel Elgort, which really threw me off. Like, I get that he was in like a couple popular teen movies, but man, he did not strike me as someone people would like know the name of. I mean, he's no Alden Ehrenreich.
I remember him from Baby Driver, where I went into that movie like, I don't know that actor's name at all because there's actual stars in this.
And then also Teen Outlander, Ginger Stallion, Justin Timberlake. There were probably more. Those are just the ones I was able to note down. Cheryl had a crazy one of follow me on Twitter and I'll do the same. My handle's @CherylBombshell.
That one was on my list as well because she says her handle is at something, which I don't think any teen would say. If you say, oh, my handle is this, everyone knows Twitter, Instagram, you're going to put an @ symbol in front of it.
But Vulture also know that, like, high school students aren't really on Twitter. They're more on, like, TikTok.
She could have just said, oh, like, find me on Insta. I'm Cheryl Bombshell.
Yeah, that would make more sense. Yeah, okay, here's the line. Select All editor and teen consultant Madison Malone Kirknerd said, nah, teens are far more likely to be using Snapchat, House Party, music.ly, or some new app that you wouldn't even know about.
I don't know what House Party is, so...
No, I've only heard of Snapchat.
I am old now.
But okay, and then, guys, can't we liberate ourselves, blah, 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 James Franco. I also have, what is a chocolate shop? Veronica was really our all-star on this list. She had the most questionable lines.
Yes. I have another one from her that I pulled out, which was after Cheryl makes some catty comments about Betty's weight, Veronica turns to her and says, you're a total smoke show now, which sounds like something a frat guy would say.
This show, man. All right, there was another one. Apparently Cheryl was the one who said this in the world of the show, but the one who relates it to us is Kevin. He says, she said that Betty had a very season 5 Betty Draper body, which is obviously bad because, as we all know, in season 5, Betty Draper was divorced from Don Draper, and she is Betty Francis at that point. So really dropping the ball there, Riverdale.
I have no real knowledge of Mad Men, so this one flew right over my head. But my number one most cringy, most painful line, and I know we discussed this before, is still, let's see who's riding the Ginger Stallion tonight.
Yeah, mine was one we already discussed too. The foul lesbian kissing has been taboo since 94. Just don't slap me and then tell me, but we knew that would hurt you.
Hopefully, every episode has as many wonderful lines as this, because I had so much fun picking these out.
Yeah, there were a lot. I just want to ask you one question before you give me the Archie horniness quiz, which is, what do you think broke up Archie and Jughead?
Okay, they're supposed to see each other over the summer. Something about that. So maybe Archie was too busy being inside Miss Grundy to hang out with Jughead, and they just kind of lost touch, as friends sometimes do.
Oh, this is amazing. You are dead on. But the way it's covered in the next episode, because I watched ahead, my girlfriend, when she found out we were doing this podcast, was like, oh, I loved the first season of Riverdale. Let's rewatch it. And I went along, and she was explaining many of the nuances to me that I had missed. She says it's very slight in the beginning, but it does get better once a certain coupling happens, which I won't spoil. But
other option is Jughead has not yet emerged from the chrysalis of puberty. Archie has. They're on different wavelengths.
Look, season 2, I just want someone to be staring in their underwear from across the street at Jughead and go, Jughead got hot.
I don't think that's a line any human could say. Jughead is not a sexy name.
Your first guess was correct. They were supposed to take a road trip on July 4th, and Archie canceled. And it's such a slight thing for them to have this like big dramatic falling out over, like, oh, we couldn't do a road trip. Guess our friendship is over.
Well, there's 14 years down the tubes.
Yeah.
Now you'll never understand any of my literary references.
But once Jughead finds out what Archie missed the road trip for, they're friends again.
Can't even be mad, bro.
Oh, so all right, I'm ready for
Here
this horrible
is
quiz.
Your quiz. In this episode, episode 1 of Riverdale, which characters expressed attraction to or romantic interest in Archie, the most fuckable kid in school?
All right.
We got a list here.
There was Betty.
Yep.
There was Kevin.
There was also Kevin in the show, so not just you.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, I caught the line where Veronica's like, you date him? And Kevin replies, no, he's straight.
All right.
Let's see. After that, I think we gotta go Reggie. I mean, he didn't say it, but with his eyes, I felt it.
Yeah, he was also really aggressive during Spin the Bottle.
Yeah.
When Cheryl said, oh, Archie has to go first, and Archie tries to play it off, and Reggie gets really insistent that Archie has to be the one.
Yes, Archie, you do this.
So, okay, that was another one that I wasn't sure you'd pick up on.
Pussycat number 2.
Yes.
Miss Grundy, obviously.
Yep.
I noticed Archie got some kisses from Vegas, his dog.
Oh, wow, you really looked into the subtext here.
Yes. Let's see. There was Veronica, of course, because they did 7 Minutes in Heaven. There was Cheryl. Does that count as expressing interest? Because
I had her on the list because she was like, if you don't take the turn, Veronica, I'm going to.
Yeah, it was unclear if she was into it or if she just wanted to ruin Betty's life. Both are very believable for Cheryl.
Who wouldn't want to ride the Ginger Stallion, though?
Oh, God. Oh, man. Jughead, obviously. Some wild chemistry there.
I didn't have him on the list. You got everything on the list.
Oh, perfect.
So now that we've wrapped up episode 1, here's what's happened so far. Jason's corpse washed up. Archie's a potential witness or auditory witness in a murder. Betty's heartbroken. Betty's sister is in a mental institution. Veronica tongue punched the back of both Betty and Archie's throats.
Yeah, Veronica has really gotten around.
Something we didn't talk about, Veronica's mom got a bag of $100 bills delivered to her, and Jughead is writing a book.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I don't know. The bag of cash thing was so separate from the rest of the action that I don't know how we could discuss it.
Yeah, it was very... Even in the show, it's kind of just like a quick aside. Like, I had totally forgotten who that character was even.
So here's this part where I ask you, what do you think is going to happen next? Of the previous things that we talked about, what predictions do you have for any of those plot elements?
Sadly, I can't make predictions anymore because, as I said, Sarah had me watch the second episode, so I know what will happen next.
That is really unfair because I'm completely in the dark here. And my prediction, I'm only going to pick one of these things. Jughead is a figment of Archie's imagination is where I'm going with this.
That would be amazing.
It seems like the story that they're like, stop being friends, doesn't make sense, and Jughead's saying really coded, distant stuff. So I was like, oh, Archie's friend died over the summer, and that's why he's writing these songs, and it's somehow wrapped up in the Jason Blossom death.
That would be really something. That would be a twist I think would really actually up my interest in the show, because right now it's a little soapy, and I don't think we really covered this in the show. Because we spent an hour summarizing the plot. But the show is actually pretty light on plot. Like, your recap really covered all of the important things, but there's a lot of screen time.
They do a great job of building suspense where, hey, we're going to drop this bit of knowledge on you. Like, here's a bag of random $100 bills. But they don't build much around that. Maybe that's just because it's in episode 1. Mm-hmm. My brain's going in this wild direction because for some reason, in my mind going into Riverdale, I thought there was some sort of supernatural element.
I feel like there should be one too. Something about the show just tonally suggests that there should be.
From just seeing posters or images online,
it looks like a horror poster.
Yeah, I thought, oh, this isn't just a thriller. There's something that is uncanny that's happening in this town.
My guess is, and it wasn't like explained or anything in like the second episode, so I guess it's still a prediction. I think there's probably going to be like a serial killer on the loose.
Okay, I mean, I'm ready for a lot more murders.
Yeah. So my last question for predictions is, who do you think the first arrest will be?
First arrest in the case of Jason Blossom's murder?
Yes, because we're told that next Tuesday before 5th period, the first arrest will be made. Who do we think that is?
The only thing that makes sense is Cheryl, because she was the person who was with him when he died, and she also fed this story of, hey, he fell in the water and drowned, but then he's washing up on the riverbank with a hole in his forehead.
Yeah, Cheryl is the very obvious choice here. It's so obvious, in fact, that it makes me wonder why it wouldn't be like an immediate arrest. Like, what does the delay bring to the table?
Yeah, if I was the police, I would say, oh, we got this story that the kid drowned, but he was clearly shot. Let's go to the person who gave us the fake story and haul them in for questioning.
Yeah, so it's, like I said, so obvious that it almost wraps back around to making you wonder, is this what's actually going to happen?
It's either that or it's Archie who gets arrested.
Yes.
He's got to get arrested at some point because he was a key witness and he's going to try and cover it up and then he's going to get himself in hot water.
Yes, that sounds like Archie. All right, well, I think that's it for our first episode. Is there anything else we need to talk about?
No, I think that covers it. And next week, we'll be back with episode 2 of Riverdale. So watch the episode, prepare your notes, and get
Yes.
ready for us to talk about the cringiest lines and see if anyone else is now horny for Archie.
Yes, ride those ginger stallions into the sunset, everyone.
Until then, you can reach us on Twitter at GrittyRebootPod or by email at GrittyRebootPodcast@gmail.com. We look forward to seeing you next time.